Okay, hello. It's been about 4 years since I posted that first story about angelic encounters that I had as a child. I said that I'd post more, and that waited, procrastinated 4 years. And, well, here I am. Lord wouldn't let me alone, kept reminding me. I had to a few people that saw the first to get the other stories out. This particular story I call The Eagle and the Serpent, and you'll see why if you listen to the whole thing. Make of it what you will. I was working and living in the Adirondack Mountains in upstate New York when this happened. The place where I worked, there was a situation where some of the people I worked with were doing some dishonest things to make a bunch of money, easy. The only problem they had was what they were doing required signatures, one of being mine, and I wouldn't go along with it. Push come to shove, I don't budge. I told them. They continued trying to coerce me to sign some papers. I'd turn them in to the authorities. And they made some threats. And I said, do your worst. There's no way they're going to get me to budge. I even had a guy pull a knife on me. He was in tears. He's like telling me how he had plans for that money to buy a boat or something pathetic like that. So, I did what I did. They kept making my life miserable, and so I did what I warned, and I went to the authorities. And the authorities came, investigated. Their little cabal was found out. Some people got in trouble. I gave them plenty of chances to get out of it. Well, one Friday I was getting out of work, and one of my coworkers, a friend of mine, came up to me twice that day and warned me that when I came to work Monday morning, some of these men would be waiting for me as soon as I got out of my car. And he said I better be careful because they had something in mind for me. It wasn't good. I thanked him. Thank you very much. Put it out of my mind, have my weekend. I'll say at this point in my life, I was living alone, was going to church a lot. Wasn't a choir boy or anything by any means, but I didn't do any drugs. Just lived a pretty pure life, to tell you the truth. Pretty pure, a few beers here and there. I just want to explain that. My lifestyle then, now. So, all right. The weekend rolls by. Monday morning comes. I'm driving to work through the mountains, the Adirondacks. I'm praying to God, my usual prayers. I'm by myself in my car. There's nobody else on the road. Pretty much had the road to myself. And I knew that I had a hard time waiting for me. I didn't know what to expect when I got to work. I'd been warned. When I asked the Lord for protection in my prayers in front of me, in the sky, something came. It looked like a spear. It's about 6 or 7 feet long. Straight line like a spear would be. But it was bright white, shimmering, almost blinding bright, reminding me of light that's given off from an arc welder. And sparks were flying out of it, just coming a straight line. Right across in front of me. I'm like, whoa. I pulled over and I watched this shimmering spear, I would say like a spear, but of light, and almost like on fire with light just coming off of it. And it crossed right in front of my car, and I was pulled over at this point, and it hit the mountainside, a cliff, which was a cut in a mountain. The cliff was a sheer-faced rock cliff to my right, and where it hit was an explosion of light. Really bright. Little explosion of light and sparks, and I'm stunned. And when I look, the sparks and the explosion of light dissipated. Now there was an eagle with a huge snake in its talons, flying up slowly with this snake, coming back the way up to the sky, the way the spear came down. And this huge snake, it had it like that, was trying to reach up to strike the eagle, but it couldn't because of the angle. It couldn't reach it. And I watched this thing fly off very slowly with this snake, and I saw it as an answer to my prayers for protection. And I gave thanks to God, and I was awestruck as I am now. It's really hard to describe what this looked like. A blinding white spear of light coming out of the sky, hits the cliff with an explosion of sparks, and then when then there's an eagle where that hit with a huge snake. It flies off. I saw it. That happened right when I asked for protection in my prayer. All right, so I get to work. Sure enough, there's two men standing there in front of me, blocking the way. I get out of my car, and they're both standing there like this. You know, they were going to do something. I don't know what. I walked right up to them, and they didn't say a word. I walked right up to them both, and I said, "Christ loves you. He died for your sins." I looked them both right in the eye. And these guys' reaction was about as remarkable as the spear and the eagle and the light. Their jaws dropped. They didn't say a word to me or each other. They looked poleaxed, and they just walked their separate ways. They both went in separate directions, and I went right on and went to work. The story doesn't end here. I had no more problems from these people after that. I left that place a year later. I heard from somebody there that one of those men, quit his job and became an ordained minister within that year. And I want to tell you, that's how God works. When He starts something, He finishes it. It didn't just end with me and protection. He went to work in that man's life. And I want to point this out because in this day and age, people think we're so, we all get caught up in the bad news on TV, and we think we've so outgrown God. And I can understand it. I hate to admit it, but I understand how it is to kind of lose your way and lose your faith a bit. Not completely, but He works just like He said. And the things in the New Testament and the Old Testament, I've come to believe that not all of that stuff is, I take it literally. I'll try to get my other stories out. But this really happened, and I guess you just have my word on it. But why would I be making these videos? I just felt compelled that I needed to share these things. And if you have stories, I encourage you to share them. But the Lord is great. He's good. And if I pray to Him, I can take that off. But I hope He blesses this for you. Until next time. Story 3 coming up.